So you're building your dream business and you're ready to hire your dream team. Maybe you're scrolling through resumes and see someone who used to work at Intel or Tesla, and you're thinking, wow, this person is going to crush it in my small business. But wait, before you start imagining your new hire revolutionizing your processes, let's pause for a second. Hiring someone from a corporate background to work in a small business is not always a match made in heaven. In fact, it can be a recipe for disaster. This week, we're talking about what it's like to hire corporate employees for your small business. We'll dive into the difference between corporate and small business cultures and the challenges that you might face, and how to set both yourself and your new hire up for success. If you're thinking about adding a corporate baddie to your small business team, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabelle Guarino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the cultural differences between corporate America and small business. In corporate America, as much as people complain that my boss doesn't care, the truth is most employees don't care either. It's just a job. There's no emotional tie to the work, no sense of ownership. Picture the DMV. Slow, disconnected, and full of people who look like they'd rather be anywhere else. You know the scene from Zootopia? Yeah. Now, contrast that with a small business. Employees in small businesses are often deeply tied to their work. They care more, they hustle harder, and they're emotionally invested in the success of the business. It's not just a paycheck, it's personal. But here's the thing, if you hire someone from a corporate background to work in your small business, they might not be ready for that level of emotional investment. They might not realize that in small business, you're not just a cog in the machine, you're a person. For example, we hired a woman, and oh man, her resume was incredible. Tons of corporate experience, a total rock star on paper, big names of companies she'd worked for. But when she started working with us, it was clear that she wasn't a fit. She was used to having a backup, or so if she was sick or out of the office, someone could just cover up for her work because she was just a cog and multiple people were doing her role. But in small business, there's usually one person per role. So if you're out, the work doesn't get done unless you take the time to train someone and let them know, hey, you're responsible for this while I'm out. If you don't do it, it's not happening. She didn't realize that, and it caused a lot of frustration for her, for us, and for the team. When she's supposed to be responding to emails and answering phones, and she's out of office for multiple days and didn't really ask for that time off, now we're screwed. Now, I get it. It's exciting to see a corporate all-star apply for your small business. They've worked at big name companies and been a part of massive systems and probably have experience with processes and policies that you've never even heard of. And sometimes that's a good thing. Take Sarah, for example. She's part of our marketing team and she comes from a corporate background. Sarah's corporate experience has been invaluable. She introduced us to meeting styles that keep us on track, onboarding strategies that help new hires hit the ground running, and she's been questioning techniques that help her get the info she needs without overloading anyone. She's brought structure and insight that we didn't even know we were missing. On the flip side, I've also had that corporate hire who just didn't get it. So in a corporate environment, I've said this, you're a cog in a well-oiled machine. Your role is clearly defined and you're told exactly what to do at every step. But in a small business, you might be building the airplane while it's taking off. There's no step-by-step guide sometimes. There's not even like a checklist, which is ultimately problematic, but it's the way that businesses can be started and how many small businesses operate in the beginning. Check out our episode on standard operating procedures. So if you are in that airplane building mode, you can at least get some SOPs to help with your new hires. In a small business, you need intuition. You need creativity and the ability to adapt on the fly. Some people thrive in that environment, but others, they crumble. So here's the lesson. Not all corporate baddies will be a good fit for your small business. You need to figure out who you are and what you want and what kind of team will help you get there. Hey everyone, I want to share something that has truly changed my charging game. It's the 360 electrical. When I got this cord, oh my goodness, you guys, I'm always in need of a quick charge, whether I'm on the go in the car or at the airport. I want to be able to plug it in and 15 minutes later be on full battery, and that's exactly what this has done for me. It delivers 240 watts of ultra fast charging, so you're back to full battery in no time. It is perfect for those last-minute travel emergencies. It's got a super long cord and it doesn't fray. It keeps everything nice and tidy, super easy to travel with, take with you on the road. So if you want to grab yours today, head to 360electrical.com and use promo code YoungBoss for 20% off your order. Now, back to the show. Now let's flip the script. What happens when a small business employee moves into the corporate environment? You know, it's not always smooth sailing. Small business employees are often deeply connected to their work. They care about the details, the mission, the clients, the outcome. But in a corporate setting, that level of care isn't always reciprocated. They might feel lost or even unfulfilled. Imagine this. A small business employee, let's call her Jessica, has spent the last 5 years running her own boutique bakery. She knows every customer's name, their favorite orders, and even their kids' birthdays. And then she gets a job managing a department in a corporate food chain. Suddenly, she's dealing with layers of management, strict processes, and a team of employees who don't care if the customer wants extra frosting. They're just there for the paycheck. Jessica feels disconnected, unfulfilled, and lost in the bureaucracy. This mismatch isn't just frustrating, it can lead to burnout. And it's a reminder that a cultural fit has to work both ways. For small business owners, this is important to keep in mind if you're planning to scale or sell. What happens to your small business employees when the culture shifts? Will they thrive in a more corporate environment or will they struggle to adapt? Employees who thrive in small business often rely on personal connections, close access to leadership, and the ability to make decisions quickly. In a corporate environment, those opportunities just might not exist, leaving them feeling undervalued or out of place. Here's a question for you. If you're building a team now, are you thinking about where you want your business to be in 5 years? And if your goal is to stay small and nimble, you'll need employees who thrive in that environment. If your goal is to scale, you may need to hire people who can adapt to change both now and in the future. So how do you navigate these challenges? How do you decide who to hire and how to set the tone for your business? First, ask yourself, what kind of culture do you want to create? If you're hiring people from a corporate background, be clear about your expectations. Let them know that small business culture is different and that they'll have more access to leadership, aka you, but also probably more responsibility and more autonomy. But they'll also need to be very flexible and adaptable. On the flip side, if you're hiring small business folks, think about the long term. What happens if you decide to scale or sell your business? Will your team be able to adapt if someone comes and injects $10 million into the business overnight and turns it into a more corporate structure? Here's a practical exercise. Write down your goals for the next 5 to 10 years. And if you plan to stay small, you'll probably want to hire employees who will thrive in a hands-on, high-touch environment. And if you plan to grow, start looking for people who can bridge the gap between small business culture and corporate systems. And don't forget the power of onboarding. Whether your hire is from corporate background or a small business background, take the time to help them understand your culture, your goals, and your expectations. An investment in onboarding can save you countless headaches down the road. Another crucial piece, communication. Make sure your team understands the vision. If your goals shift, whether that's staying small or scaling, loop them in. People are more likely to stick around and adapt if they feel included in the journey. Here's what I've learned from hiring both corporate and small business employees. First, be honest about your needs. If you're looking for someone to bring fresh perspectives and systems, a corporate hire might be the way to go. And if you need someone who understands the hustle of a small business, stick with small business vets. Second, Set clear expectations. Corporate employees may not realize how hands-on small business life is. Be upfront about the level of ownership that they'll need to take. They also may be totally freaked out that they're in meetings with the CEO or the founder all the time. As in corporate, that rarely happens, but in small business, it's quite commonplace that you're getting that FaceTime in. Lastly, be willing to experiment. Sometimes you don't know what will work until you try. I've had amazing hires from both corporate and small business backgrounds, and I've had disasters from both too. Sometimes you just have to see for yourself. So what's the takeaway? Hiring someone from a corporate background for your small business or vice versa can be a game changer, but only if you're honest about your culture, your expectations, and your goals. Think about the future of your business. Are you staying small or do you want to scale? What kind of team will help you get there? And at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong answer. It's about finding the people who fit your vision and who can thrive in your unique environment. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Young Boss with your host, Isabelle Guarino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe on Spotify and YouTube for weekly episodes. And always remember, your youth is your power.